Hello to you all, and welcome to Pyramid Energy, a journey through intuition, wisdom, and loving insight. My name is Khunze. If you've journeyed with me before, welcome back, and thank you all for being here with me. If you pick up on a difference in how the audio sounds today, it's because I'm recording from outside. I sat down to do a reading, and my intention for this container was to dive into what happened, what changed. I'll be speaking to anyone who is new to the channel and also anyone who's been listening to me on the channel for a while. And as I started shuffling the cards, I heard, "Come out and play," which is a message that I've been receiving from the Divine Masculine, the one within me, for some time, over a month. And I couldn't put it into context, but I would hear it, and I'd hear it in the same way that this new presence in my life speaks to me. But this "come out and play" took me straight back to my journaling in the past few weeks, as I've been trying to sit with the energy and allow it to bring me an understanding of what it means, what it's about, and what it's going to change. During this time, I sort of took a step back from the containers as usual to rest and to just allow things to be. The number of times I've actually posted on the channel in the last, let's say, 2 weeks is no indication of how many times I tried. Various things would happen. There was the mishap with my laptop, which thankfully I got back. I also got sick for a half day. I also had my children on holiday, so they were home with me most of the time. There were just a whole lot of these blocks. After getting sick and, admitting that yes, man down, I slept for a half day, and when I woke up, everything had changed. I also had this new intro that I wanted to, take for a ride. And I found I was still struggling with the approach to the container. There was a resistance, and I surrendered. The things that I wanted to bring to the container felt clouded in so much shadow that I just couldn't get across what I wanted to say. So whether it was interruptions in my thought process, or it was, an entire 1-hour video that ended up totally glitched. That happened. So I was forced to surrender. I submitted. I realized now on the other side that I was going through a death and I was resisting it. And in that valley, I was able to see both sides of both what I was unbecoming and what I was becoming, and I hadn't yet settled in peace on either of the two. And so I humbled myself, and I opened a container, and I started channeling from the cards. By this, I've never had a very set process, but by this I mean without any clue what's ahead. I was shuffling, and as I'd see cards, I'd share the words I was receiving. And so I took it slow, as I do, but this time felt different. And it was only when I was done in the editing process that I was able to become aware that the content applied to me. I've recognized this event in my life as a divine masculine awakening. And with that awakening, a lot of the divine masculines, my relationship with the divine masculine, that shadow was really rearing its head. And at the same time, I was observing it externally, and I didn't like what I saw. And so I grappled with that for a while, because I'm very aware of this savior complex is what I'll call it, where you note an issue somewhere or an imbalance and you feel drawn to the chaos. And so I was observing myself in that sense. I also saw maybe one comment. There was a comment that really stood out for me, and I don't know which video it was on, but it was someone asking about, I suppose calling me out on not sharing the shadow aspects, not going more into them. But he phrased it from more of a, what do they call them? Not demons. As if they're external energies that attack us. I forgot what wording is used, but I think you know what I'm talking about. And my relationship with those is such that I find it more empowering to rather reinforce myself and what I believe than to focus in that space. And so this is not to deny that it's there, but it's to say that if I'm experiencing it, it is still a mirror and it's there to show me something. And where I am now is really in that space of be the change you want to see in the world, which is, I'll say, focusing in on other people's or other energies, shadows. I can rather work on overcoming my own. And that's ultimately what was affecting my approach to the container. I needed to be open for it to change. My guides were constantly saying to me, Khonze, we're here. You just can't hear us because you're used to approaching the container in a specific way. And it's unclear to me what that specific way is, but I think I had overloaded it with a lot of, I suppose I could say my shadow, but my own expectations. I was also thinking about the recipient at times, and also thinking about change, that it's uncomfortable, and why another change? But I was reassured that this is the change that I asked for. And this is all information that I've shared through these containers that I have been sharing. I've gone back to re-listen to them because I realized they had a lot of information for me and for my growth at this stage of my life and my work. But I want to share what I journaled with you in the past 2 weeks or so, because I have recognized that my understanding of the masculine has shifted completely. I had misunderstood it, but I'm going to start by reading what I wrote. The sun's existence in our lives represents access to our life force, the aspect of our lives that gives us the will to accept what life has on offer for us, to embrace it, to live life in a loving way because of it. Not just to survive, but to thrive. We also know we can rely on it because surely it will outlive us. The sun represents an infinite source of energy, offered to us when we find our place in it, rise to the occasion. This brings to mind the idea of finding your place in the sun. How do we find it? We honor love. We honor what love truly means, which is that we inherently deserve to live in peace and to forgive ourselves consistently in order to feel that peace. Consistent peace is the frequency of manifestation. The challenge for most is that every decision in your life then needs to be based in love, in peace, and in fostering them. The difficulty is not in acting on this once we become aware of it. It is in becoming open to becoming aware and beginning the path to acceptance that your will to have peace is valid. This was on the 3rd of July. I then go on to write, your understanding of the masculine has completely shifted. In feeling his presence manifested in your heart, you have found yourself questioning how you misunderstood the masculine the whole time. Everything you wanted out of him was a projection of your conditioned mind, and what better way to shift fundamentally how you see this, but to feel it. He says, why do you keep yourself out in the cold? Come with me. Let's go play in the sun. This brings me to the end of my notes on this. But the first card that I've pulled in this Celtic cross is the Emperor, which is and has been the message of the Emperor. This part of the Emperor that I misunderstood. It's seriousness. I'm still shuffling for the next card, but when I split the deck, I got the Magician and the High Priestess. In the area of what's crossing you, I have the Four of Pentacles. And so this is almost what's blocking you from accepting the Emperor's presence in your life. The protector, the provider, the one you can be yourself with, comfortable with yourself and comfortable with them. The one that can help you create whatever your heart desires. The one that has the tools, the one that has the understanding. But what's blocking you is the holding onto of the things that you feel keep you safe. This could be values, because these are pentacles, so this could be values, so understandings of what keeps you safe, those kinds of things. And what keeps you feeling like you're moving with a sense of, what integrity means to you. And this could be money as well. And so an understanding of where your money will come from. You're holding tight onto that, especially if, you've built something that provides money a certain way. These are the things that are getting in the way. There's an absence of trust that this Emperor has arrived and that the Emperor is in your life. And I'm referring to the energy of the Emperor, not necessarily a person. And the words that I'm getting are the one that can provide for you, make you feel safe, keep you feeling safe, but doesn't ask you to be somebody else, and that will look after you. But there's a lack of trust that this energy, this Emperor, can look after you as you just do you and do what you love. Be yourself. In your recent past, I have the Queen of Pentacles and the Five of Cups. And I needed clarity because, the Queen of Pentacles is someone who has built something out of herself. Okay, so this coin that she holds is something very valuable that she's proud of and that she's looked after. But there's still a sense of disappointment. Five of Cups. A sense of dissatisfaction. A sense that, this question that keeps coming up, is this it? Isn't there more? That sense. I've now laid out the rest of the cards. In your near future, you're going to be embodying courage. You're going to ride on courage. That is remembering mentally that you're safe. And that is honoring the fear that you have, but remembering that you are safe and moving forward with these two things until you find a momentum within you that feels comfortable, especially because there's already this fire that's sort of warming you. You're moving towards where it feels warm. And so you're receiving information through how you feel about which direction to move in. And so you're going to be doing that. At the top of mind, I have you at the Ten of Swords, which for me is the surrender card. That is the point of surrender. That is the point where you actually have no clarity as yet as to what the outcome will be, but that is accepting that something is dying here and I no longer need to struggle. In your subconscious, I have Temperance, which is balancing. If you recall what I said about the process of death and the observation of both sides of everything, you're balancing your understanding versus this idea that perhaps your understanding was completely flawed, but then also finding yourself not remaining too much, in the judgment position of what's unfolding, but keeping yourself calm so that you can allow it to unfold and so that you can see it unfold rather than resist seeing it. I really apologize for the noise out here. In your advice, I have the Hermit. This is to say, sit with this discomfort. Sit with the questions. Leave the answers open. But become aware that you are going through a death. And know that the understanding that you're after will find you. And you also don't need the full understanding. This is something else I want to say. You don't need the full understanding. You can also fall back on trust. And just to say, in your outcome, I do have the King of Swords. And this represents the truth. In the surrounding factors, I have the Six of Cups. And I felt like I needed clarity. It was giving me a message of karmic clearing, karmic healing. But I needed clarity. And as I was shuffling, half the deck fell on the floor. And this brought up something else I've been receiving, which is you'll win some and you'll lose some. You'll lose some and you'll win some. It's as though it's part of the process of growth. And so this is karma manifesting in your own life and karma manifesting in the life of whatever it is that you may be moving away from, whatever is part of this death. Another message I want to share with this is something else I've been getting is that this might feel like a complete overhaul, but they're saying that in a material sense, it's not really actually, that is also your fear sort of projecting on this shift. It's a shift. And it always presented itself as a shift as it was approaching you. However, it feels like a complete overhaul. And so this is to balance your thought. They're saying that we come in peace. We come in peace. That's what this card is sharing. And I see in the area of what you want the most, what you desire the most, and what you fear the most is the Fool, which is a big deal because it's essentially calling for you to surrender to this new beginning, to surrender to the new version of yourself, whatever that means, to trust that what is no longer a part of you can fall away because you no longer need it, to honor it for the role that it played in your life during the time that you felt you needed it, but to be willing to part from it now that you no longer need it. I want to say that this could be about a person. This could be about your relationship with your work. This could be your work itself, your art. This could also be the understanding that you have based your... They interrupted me there. I couldn't get the word out, but I was just resisting it. The word is ideology. And so it could be your ideology that is being fundamentally rocked. And they're saying that's okay. That is an ideology that you needed for the time that you thought you needed it. But now you have yourself, and you have something that you can rely on to be true. This is surrender. The card that I've pulled from the Rumi Oracle deck is card number 34, Layla. The guidebook says, "How I long for my thoughts to no longer make any sense to me. Then I can be rid of them, like noisy house guests who have overstayed their welcome. Oh, the peace when they finally go. Their incessant chatter brings me no comfort. I crave the silence of you. Will you let me hear it? Will you run through the noisy house of my mind with your great muddy feet, so that I can focus on something other than my mind for a while? Maybe you can make such a mess that I shall give up my plans and attempts at order completely. Just give in for a change. It's time for that. To give up my ridiculous fantasies of perfection, useless, noisy, irritating, demanding, and yet deadening perfection. I'd rather just be alive. I want to plant my head in the earth, in the same mud that sticks to your feet, and breathe in her rich soil smell. I want her to feel her heart beating in the quiet movements of the roots of the plants as they stretch and grab and stop my ears with her fertile dirt. Finally, gaining peace from the constant infernal racket of thoughts no longer wanted. Oh, beloved, how you are to be envied. You are being given the gift of no self, no noise, no sense. The great beloved truly wants you to be closer than ever to the wild universal heart. In that field of love, every electronic device goes haywire, systems collapse, worlds collide, and great stars are born from the chaos. But the real you will sense none of this. You'll be staring at your beloved, so intoxicated by love, your tongue will loll out of your mouth and you'll drool like a bloodhound. And you won't care a hoot. Neither will the great beloved. Such will the passion of your reunion be, that the only thing to matter will be the one great love exploding inside your being. So who cares if you have no idea what day it is? What was your job supposed to be again? Or how to make conversation, let alone intelligent conversation, at the dinner table. Ah, well, you shall not be yourself anymore. You shall not be so appropriate or sociable. Who understands crazy words that fall out of your mouth, unchecked by logic or rationality? I do. I know the beloved too. I am under that same loving spell. I, like you, have no I anymore. I, like you, am so crazy with love that I care not for things making sense anymore. I, like you, long for my night of love with the great beloved that ends me forever and renders me only and ever the lover of the great beloved. I call that night forward from my love-crazed heart, as do you, that Laylat al-Qadr. I think that's the pronunciation, please excuse me. The night of destiny. Let us run together and pound on the bedroom door of the great beloved. There is no shame. There is nothing else worth holding on to. Let us go now, and throw yourselves upon the goodwill of the Creator. Our hair shall be messy and mingle with the curving galaxy, and the planets shall grow rings around them, becoming the many eyes of the great beloved, delightfully bearing witness to our loving, passionate surrender. 2222. This oracle brings you a message. You are moving through a period of not knowing, of time in the great void, or womb of the Divine Mother. It is in this place the seed can crack open and take root. This cannot happen in the light, where all is seen and recognized. It must happen under the cover of darkness, where only trust can assure one of success. This is the way of nature, the way of life, and it must be honored. This oracle brings you ancient wisdom. It guides you not to fear the darkness, but to enter into it willingly. It is not for you to become lost, but to find your way. This oracle is saying that in the darkness, there is the path, the tariki tarikat. Again, please excuse my pronunciation. Do not turn away from it. Let it be. Be with the lack of knowing. When people ask of you so many questions and demand sensible answers to support their notion of reality, do not bow to such unworthiness and fear. Know that their minds may be fearful for your safety, and their own, lest your divine madness be contagious, but that their fear is nothing to you, nothing at all. It is not even anything to them, but they just don't know that yet. Under the sacred black cloak of night, the Divine Mother, the Goddess, she who transfigures from darkness into the light, has invited you into her chamber. In that place, you shall experience annihilation, but only that of which is untrue, that of which would hold you back, dampen your spirit, or prevent you from bursting into full aliveness. For that which is true is already seeded deep in her womb, and is preparing to be born, strong and with good, powerful legs. So when it is time, it will leap like a wild creature, all instinct and intuition, into the morning light. For this moment, however, there is darkness, and that is essential for the appearance, so imminent, beloved, of the light that's on its way. This oracle brings you guidance. If you find yourself to be sad, to be grieving, whether you know for what or not, or even depressed or struggling, feeling as though you are being pulled down, do not fight. Bear witness instead. Allow what is taking place to take place. Allow what is happening to happen. You shall find a joy in allowing the interplay of darkness and the light to take place according to a greater unfolding rhythm of your own divine growth process. That message really rounded up how I've been feeling in this past stretch. And I feel like all of the containers I tried to open to look at just this needed the time. Thank you so much. I sometimes feel like not enough is addressed within the collective, not just narrative, but the conversations that we have. Yet we are also deeply intuitive that this is, we can all feel what's taking place. We can all feel what's taking place, and we can almost see each other on the opposite, not spectrum, our opposite positions, facing each other. I've never felt this divine mirror so clear, but within my intuition still. And so I truly thank you for your presence, because it is through your presence that I have grown. Even through the resistance that I've experienced throughout this journey on Pyramid Energy, there has been more than one death. But this one is different. This one is different. Should you wish to support my channel, and can, I've left details in the description box below on how. Sending you all so much love.